What's up, agents, and welcome back to another Division video. The Strega has come in hot this season, and I think it's going to be an extremely popular exotic assault rifle for the game. But the question is, how well does it work with Negotiator's Dilemma? Now, you would kind of think these things go hand in hand. So if we took a look at the Strega, you can see here, killing an enemy will apply a mark on every enemy within 20 meters of it. Multiple marks can be applied to the same enemy. The max number of marks that can be applied to an enemy is 5. Deal 15% amp damage per mark to marked enemies. Crazy good, right? Crazy good. It's a lot of damage as long as you're doing the killing, right? That you've got to take that into account. And then if we look at negotiators, which also got to change, the backpack critical measures talent got buffed from 100% to 112, so that is no slouch either. But obviously when we critical hit an enemy, we put a mark on it for 20 seconds. We can do 3 by total if we're using just the standard set. You can extend that to 5 with the chest piece, but I really don't ever think that's that useful. I think most things are dead by the time you would get beyond 3 anyway. Because you only have 20 seconds to do the killing also. So marking 5 enemies and then, you know, you've got 20 seconds. I just don't think it's worth. But the backpack is for sure. But when we critically hit a marked enemy, all other marked enemies take 60% of the damage dealt, well 112 in this case. Whenever a marked enemy dies, we'll gain 2% extra critical hit damage, stacking up to 20 times, giving us an extra 40% critical hit damage. And that'll stay until combat ends. So it's no slouch at all. But the question is, does the amp damage marks from the Strega and the buff from Negotiator work together? So first of all, before we go over the build, let's figure that out and see if these two do work hand in hand. So we can work this out pretty easily. I've already done the numbers to check. But if we hit this bad guy here with a crit, and then we hit this bad guy here with a crit. And then now if I do 1 crit, like that, there we go. You can see my numbers. And I'm just going to pull my notes up at the side just to double check. Yes, so that will have, it's 11 point something % difference in damage, which makes sense, right? Because we're doing, you know, and we're expecting it to be 112% of that damage, right? So we are doing that little bit more. It's rounded in the game. I'll forgive them. That's fine. So that's kind of good. But then, so what we do then, if we'll, is the one flying around here? So we'll get this one dead here. So we'll be within 20 meters. So now we've got the mark on. And if we do this same test, the 1 bullet now, 1 crit. There we go. So let's just double check that my numbers are the same again. Give or take. They are, give or take. Again, that number is the same. It's just over 11% difference between the damage. So what that means is that the Strega effect isn't having an effect on the Negotiator's damage numbers. However, we are doing higher numbers because the enemy that we are hitting has the Strega effect on. Hopefully that makes sense, and I'll just try and put it across a different way. We're doing more damage, therefore Negotiators is giving us more damage across the board against all tagged enemies. But the actual Strega effect is only taking effect on the damage on the enemy that we are hitting, and therefore we're spreading more damage because it's got that effect. But the enemy that's got Negotiator and Strega that we are not hitting is only taking the amount of damage that it normally would from Negotiators. So hopefully that makes sense. So it doesn't mean that it's a dream combo, but it does mean that it's a very, very good, very, very powerful combo nonetheless. So I'll show you the build that I kind of knocked together. There's no survivability in this whatsoever. And I would probably opt out to changing the chest piece and maybe the holster. Because it really does depend if you like swapping guns or not. Now, swapping guns isn't terrible. It doesn't seem to take too long. But when you are playing a mission or when you are playing a control point or something like that, it's just not great, right? I don't know. I'm not down for the weapon swapping. Maybe I should be It's a bit of a theme this season along with range and things like that. But we'll give it a go. Other things that I would potentially switch out, I would just switch these two out for Palisade. That would probably be my go-to because we've got 10% armor on kill from Gunner. We could get a further 10% armor on kill by putting Palisade in, as well as some, you know, extra health. Or we could perhaps put a something like, is it not Bellstone? Let me just, my mind's gone why I'm thinking about it. Yeah, Bellstone. We could put a Bellstone piece in for potentially some armor regen. Or if you weren't too bothered about the extra damage from this, you could slip this out. But I feel like this is too worth, right? This is too much damage not to be taken. So I think we would always take the backpack. So putting a liquid engineering or something like that with Bloodsucker, I think is a no-go. I think my go-to would definitely be potentially this piece here with Palisade, and then maybe even putting Negotiator's holster on and putting in the good old Coyote's mask for some, again, extra critical hit damage. I'll go through the build in detail later, but as you can see with the Strega, I'm at 60% crit chance, exactly 143% critical hit damage, which obviously we know we're going to get at least another, you know, 40 on top of that from Negotiator's buff as well. But if we switched over to my F2000, you can see I actually have more. I've got a little bit less crit chance, but I've got 158% critical hit damage due to the new mods that they've changed in the game. And for some reason it's bugged out. I'm holding 2 now. What's that all about? Well, the backpack one's not changing. Is that a new bug? That's weird. But I opted because, again, we're thinking about solo, right, with the Strega as well. We're thinking more that it's kind of catered towards solo play. So I went with Killer, and if you've not seen my previous videos, go and check them out. Killer gives us another 70% critical hit damage. Now, I've got no expertise in this thing whatsoever, but let's just look at what the range numbers are before we go out and play with it. I appreciate this will be a little bit of a longer video, but so with you know, so now we can see the negotiators at the top. So we're hitting, you know, 850-ish K there, but obviously, you know, we can spread damage massively by doing this, you know, and all of a sudden you will see things die, and you're doing way more damage at that point then as well. If we switched to, let's get this guy dead. We switched to my F2000. You can see here. And actually we're taking into account the holster here as well. So what we'll do is we'll come off this now and we'll give the F2000 the same holster buff as what the Strega had. You can see there 800k with the F2000, but with no expertise. There's a 27% weapon damage difference between these two, due to the Strega having my 27 and the F2000 slapping, absolutely slapping. So depending if you are playing solo or in a group, I mean, this again is catering for solo because we're using Killer, so you've got a lot of options here. So let's take it out for a ride, and let's not go and do Lincoln, because, you know, that is boring. Let's go and do MLK is really close to Grand Washington. Let's go and do a control point where the enemies might be spread out a little bit more as well, and just kind of see if it kind of works, right?
Hostiles guarding location near.
We're on heroic on the map, that's good, and we'll start with the Strega. What we're going to do is we're going to look at this here. We're going to give the Strega the 20% rate of fire and 20% damage buff. So flip to your pistol. We'll call the allies. We'll ruin a surprise momentum.
Reinforcements en route.
The damage spread, it is glorious already. You saw there now I could You just kind of got to tag what you can. Oh, this guy's going to be a massive favour running up on me. Oh, I went to uncover there, please. Ow.
Detected. Nearby location. Guarded by hostiles.
We get the tag. We got the tag. I mean, it's so convenient, negotiators. So convenient. Like, so grateful for these guys here. Like, oh, put the yellow staying in cover at the back. Well, we don't care. Because we know we're doing more, well, as well, we're doing more damage as well to the ones we're not shooting. Potentially, because of the extra buff from negotiators. Not necessarily with the Strega, obviously, because we did check that before if that works. Yeah, nice and easy. Where are they going to come from?
Detecting additional hostile
Try and run up on them a bit. I think we kind of just out-damage everything. We haven't got a huge amount of survivability, but we just kind of... this is just great for open world farming. Look at this. I haven't swapped my gun at all. I'm kind of wasting the fact that I've got the holster on. Just swapped it now. I love how it staggers the enemies even though they're taking damage from the negotiators.
Serious trauma detected.
Do a bit of weapon switching. What I did notice was the F2000 is harder to control than the Strega. Need another enemy to shoot because we can't get him right now. There we go. He died? Yeah, he did. Nice. Yeah, and the weapon switching was nice, right? That buff from that holster is really good. You've just got to get into the mindset of, you know, of switching weapons. Whoa, 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 whoa. Right, this video is going to go on a little bit longer. Is he going to kill me? Probably. I'm way too close.
Hostiles guarding location nearby. Just give in. Hostile blind firefly detected.
And now we see how negotiators does against rogue agents.
Hostile Mender Seeker mine detected. Hostile volunteer
Ow.
detected.
Holy skills, Batman. We're gonna kill the other one. It's so good, negotiators. I mean, it was always great, but I mean, the fact I could kill 2 rogue agents at the same time with no survivability built into my build was fantastic. Leviosa. No, not what we want.
Friendly combatants detected.
Very, very, very nice. Right, so well, I will do both builds, I think, now for you, so that you get both options. Let's just get in here and then we're out of the way a little bit. Right, so this is what I was running. So as we said before, 60% crit chance, 143% critical hit damage. For a bit of extra pew-pews, it did seem, for, you know, single target anyway, without having to worry about the Strega. And what you got to remember is with the Strega stacks, if they're on the enemies and you switch weapon, they still count. So that's kind of like a nice bonus. They don't disappear when you switch weapon. 55 crit chance and 158% critical hit damage. If you're looking at my mods on my F2000, you can see here, critical hit damage mod is now 10% on both of these. So it's definitely worth putting these on. And then 20 extra rounds with the very cool looking skin. Gear wise, we just went with the Umbra chest piece. So extra critical hit damage there as well. Crit chance, crit damage across the board with Obliterate. We don't need another Striker's Harness. And then we ran the Centurion's Scabbard. We can't change these stats, unfortunately. Crit chance, weapon handling. But then with the talent that gives us 20% rate of fire and 20% weapon damage. That is a lot. That is a lot. And then we get 50% magazine size and 50% reload speed. Again, a lot of extra damage. Not having to reload. It's huge. You've just got to get in that rhythm of reloading. Of switching weapons. Because if you're not switching weapons, you're not getting the bonuses. Essentially, you're just getting these 3 bonuses all time. So there is that to think about. But I mean, that's not necessarily a bad thing. But yeah, you've got to get used to that. Then for the negotiators, obviously it gives us crit chance, crit damage, and then we talked about hostile negotiations earlier on. But then we've got weapon damage, crit chance, crit damage. With the backpack, we've got weapon damage, crit chance, crit chance. Definitely taking that backpack talent. It's really, really good. And then with the gloves, crit damage, and with the knees, crit damage also. If I really wanted to change something around and I wanted to keep the holster in, I would switch this piece out here to give us 20% armor on kill. I think that's definitely worth it. You know, we would just lose some critical hit damage. We wouldn't lose that much because I haven't got the crit damage mod in, but let's just put that in real quick and then you can see. There we go. But the only thing we're basically doing is swapping the 13% critical hit damage for 10% armor on kill. I think 20 is a sweet spot for open world farming. You could also keep this piece here blue, which will give you a little bit more survivability also. If you wanted to, then you've got a couple more options here also. You could switch out the Centurion's holster, and if you wanted to focus damage, I haven't got the piece with me now, so I can't show you. But you could go Negotiator's holster and then Coyote's mask, which obviously then you're supporting any kind of team efforts as well. So that's also an option as well. Or you could just switch this out. And again, I don't know if I've got the piece with me. No, I've not. But you could go with a Bellstone piece for some armor regen there as well, which might play, and especially if you're playing solo also. This would probably be my sweet spot. I think this is probably where I would go. And I didn't notice that I was missing my active regeneration mod from my shield. GG's. But yeah, really, really good. Really, really nice. Top tier if you ask me. This video has been way too long, but we had to go and do a little bit of sciencey for it at the beginning to see how these work together. So definitely worth it. Don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. If you've not subscribed to the channel already, I really would appreciate it. 60% of you that watch these videos are not subscribed. So if you could fix that, that would be amazing. I really would appreciate it. All my links are in the description if you want to follow me for Twitch for drops, or if you want to join my Discord or follow me on X, whatever you can do. They're all there. Thank you so much for watching. Enjoy the rest of your day, agents. Goodbye.